When I was like 15, a news channel did a story about a crazy fad sweeping the globe. It involved running, climbing, jumping, and most importantly, doing sick flips. It was called parkour. And it looked sweet. I went online and found videos of people doing parkour set to over-the-top electronic music with tons of unnecessary edits and effects. There were even videos shot in my city at places that I had been to. Some guys from Boise called themselves Team Paradox, and their videos might have been the coolest thing I had ever seen. Mostly because I knew the places from the videos, but I liked editing videos, so if I learned how to do parkour, I too could make parkour videos set to electronic music with tons of unnecessary effects and be just as cool as them. So I did more research. I found sites listing moves and how to do them. Team Paradox even had their own website that listed the best spots around town. Web design and parkour? What can't they do? I don't know why, but so many things about this just tickled my little nerd brain. I had discovered a secret world that existed completely unknown to most, a mere shadow to the unenlightened, a parallel universe that only a select few could enter. That was essentially just me realizing, oh cool, I can climb on stuff. But it felt like something bigger. There were others out there. And they too could climb on things. I was afraid to try parkour alone. Besides, if I was gonna ask my mom to drop me off downtown, I'd need to convince someone to go with me. I asked some friends, but none of them could understand why I was so excited. They said it looked dangerous and might require trespassing. Cowards. So I asked even more people if they knew anyone else interested. My friend Brody, oh hey Brody, gave me a name and a phone number. Alex was a year older than me, and word on the street, he was a parkour beast. So I called his house and asked his mommy if he was home. It felt weird just cold calling someone to ask if they wanted to train together, but Alex just so happened to be looking for other parkour beasts to train with, and my disappointment in my friends for not taking this seriously convinced him that I was that beast. So he agreed. He'd soon find out that I was garbage, but don't worry about that. He also gave me the number of another person who might want to train. Gary lived pretty close to me, and when I called him, he agreed to meet me at the swing set that weekend. I sat on a swing nervously. I had no idea what he looked like. That guy doesn't look like he's waiting for anyone. Those people all know each other. This was a bad idea. He's probably not even coming. I should go home. But before I left, I saw someone walking on the path to the swings. He was wearing sweatpants and looked just about as nervous as I felt. This was it. Oh man, what if I walked up to this guy and he wasn't Gary? That was his name, right? What would I even say? This is embarrassing. I should leave. Gary walked up to the wood chip surrounding the swing set and paused for a moment before busting out the sickest flip I had ever seen. That was the first time I had ever seen someone do a flip without like a trampoline, and I was in awe. I went over to introduce myself, and we've basically been best friends ever since. Finally, I had someone to make sick parkour videos with. For the next several years, we trained and practiced parkour at every possible opportunity. We honed our craft and pushed our mortal bodies to their limits. There were these handrails on one side of our school, next to the door without a doorknob, and during lunch we would go practice vaults. I don't mean to brag, but I do a pretty mean reverse vault. Most kids did not see the appeal and would sit on the little grassy hill overlooking the rails, making snide remarks. But joke's on them. If they thought that was cringy, just wait till they find out I'm a YouTuber. On weekends, we'd go downtown to train and hang out. Gary and Alex are ridiculously skilled and would do all sorts of flips. I was too scared to push myself and risk getting hurt, so I never got my backflip down. Maybe one day. If you're gonna practice flips, it's really important to have a safe place to land, like a big old cushion. The problem is that when you're swinging through the concrete jungle, there's not usually an abundance of cushions laying around. But one day, we happened to cross a mattress behind a parking garage. I wasn't about to sleep on it, but for breaking falls, it'd do. I practiced a front flip or two. Gary did acrobatic stunts that make your brain explode. The usual. The next week, we went back to the same place to find the mattress had been hauled away and replaced with a new mattress, which was great. 2 weekends of flip practice in a row. The next week, the same thing happened. In fact, every time we went to the mattress spawn point, an entirely different mattress was waiting for us. I'm talking Tempur-Pedic, memory foam, crib. The parkour gods were smiling upon us. We got into all sorts of places that most people didn't even know existed. Just about any building I wanted to get on top of, Gary was more than happy to co-sign my bad decisions. The Albertsons down the street from our school had a couple pipes running up the side that you could climb to the roof until they added a security camera. There must have been so many security systems sold because of us. I bet that really stimulated the economy. We're such good citizens. Now, there are some buildings that didn't have pipes or fire escapes or anything, and clearly, the only way to appreciate the views those buildings had to offer was through the use of a grappling hook. Gary and I always joked that anything is possible with a grappling hook, but we never got our hands on one, which honestly probably kept us from getting hurt. The only time I ever did get hurt, I wasn't even on X Games mode. I was trying to do a Kong vault under a horse statue, but I clipped my knee. I sat down on a park bench and there was blood, but the cut wasn't that deep. Anyway, some lady walked up and kept saying I was gonna need stitches, but when I told her no, really, I'll be fine, she shouts, "You need Jesus." So that's the Jesus bench. I think the most insane stunt anyone in the group ever pulled was when Alex did a flip from the 4th story of a staircase to an adjacent building. The first time he did it, he didn't even warn anyone that he was about to. He just ran at the railing, dove over it backwards, lands the flip flawlessly on a roof that I didn't even know you could get to, all the while yelling, "Die!" I looked down to the street and some narc was looking up at us on their phone. I was pretty sure he was calling the cops, so I told everyone to bail. And the way I like to tell this story is that when a group of parkour kids decides to go somewhere, it doesn't take long. So we made it to the other side of downtown in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, whatever that means. But that was a really good spot, and everyone said he probably wasn't calling the cops, so we headed back. We made it across town twice, on foot, well before the cops showed up. But they did show up. The cop gets out of his car and says, "I hear you kids are jumping off buildings up here." And in a moment of brilliance, Alex looks over the edge and goes, "You'd have to be crazy." A couple weeks ago, I was back in Boise for my mom's wedding. That's right, everybody, she finally found me a stepdaddy. Congratulations, Mom Tom. But while I was there, I called up Gary and initiated Project... Go downtown with nice cameras and film the totally dope parkour montage set to over-the-top electronic music that we always wanted to make in high school but didn't have the resources to do properly until now. .com. Enjoy! Thank you so much for watching. Please go follow Gary on Instagram. This video wouldn't have been possible without him. Links in the description, and I'm really hoping you'll show him some love because we spent days filming that montage, and I only used like a minute of footage. Ugh. Okay, bye!